This is an Archtop from the late 1950s. It's called an Antoria, made by Egmond. Egmond make guitars in Holland. And George Harrison bought one of these guitars when he was very young for £3. Although another story says his mother bought it for £2.50 and he played it because it was cheap. This one is fairly unusual, fairly rare. It's considered a vintage guitar, but it has a lot wrong with it. Fortunately, none of it's in the structure. The pick guard's missing, which would go in there. I'll have to ask the owner if he wants me to replace that. There should be a screw hole here somewhere, which I haven't looked for. Yes, I think I see a screw hole there. Holds it on the side. But the fret is in terrible shape. Frets are in terrible shape. The nut's all wrong. It's got the wrong nut on it. Luckily, we're replacing that. Someone, in their wisdom, has put in new tuners, but the tuner stocks are too high and they're in a level with the nut, so they'll be buzzing. So they put in some nails. That, in fact, those are completely the wrong tuners for the guitar. But there are new tuners, but they're still the wrong tuners, but the owner may want to continue with it, the new tuners. But the nut's going to be replaced. The head's going to be cleaned. The tuners are going to be replaced. The frets are going to be all checked thoroughly, and the fretboard cleaned. The fretboard itself has an under. I don't think you can see it. I think it's supposed to be flat, but it's actually slightly under, which is going to be interesting. This is being glued down, which is bad enough, but it's in completely the wrong place. It's not the right distance from the 12th fret, so that's going to have to be. This has gone to pot over the years, and it's going to have to come up shiny, because these were shiny chrome when they were first made. I'm not going to try to restore this guitar to brand new. I don't think I could anyway. But I'm going to try to fix what I can of it. It also has a bolt through the neck with a big old rusty screw in it. But the neck's pretty solid, so I may do nothing more than, well, I'll examine it as I go along. You can come along with me. There's a bit missing there that probably was, yeah, it was screwed on as well. We'll probably have to get something for that to make it look. But these tuners, you can see the hole for these tuners should be all one piece with tuning screws. You can see really old, but the owner got new screws. I'm not sure whether that's a break in the neck or a crack in the neck, but sometimes they make them in two pieces. So, but the neck's not tight, but there is a difference in the level of wood between the two bits, so I'll have to look at that again. I think the nut's missing from the back for holding the straps. But other than that, this is an interesting guitar to work on. I like these kind of things, so we'll keep you tuned as we go along. First thing to do is try to get this bridge off. Oh, bye-bye. The bridge came off with a little tap, but underneath the bridge somebody had glued it on before and has taken a little bit of the, even before this, because you can see this has got no wood on it. There's no damage to the wood on this, but there's been some damage to the wood in the past. I might be able to bluff that up. We'll see. A little bit of fret scraping on this very dirty guitar. Like earwax, but I suspect it's somebody's used real wax on this guitar. looks like earwax though, but it's, I got a feeling it's some sort of waxy polish. What is that? Definitely a thick polish of some sort. You see it on the blade? Can you see it on the blade? I don't know where the camera is. Where's the camera? Is it there? Yeah. All right. Still got some though, but there's no truss rod on this, so these frets need level. Ooh, it's like a rocking horse.
Some scraping to get this flat and level. It looks like the bevel is worse there and there. Somebody's actually probably scraped away. You can feel there's fingernail or worn away that somebody scraped away, but haven't scraped away the edges. And so the sides of the are up compared to the middle. But we've got lots of room there and there's lots of room on the frets. So what the first job is, I can't straighten the neck because there is no truss rod. So I just have to level it with a
fret leveler. This is not the fret leveler. This will, when I run that across, it just lets me see where the frets need to be level because you can see it. But what I'm going to do now, that wasn't doing anything, I was just a roughness. What I'm going to do now is use my rough edges. I'm not going to worry about the rough edges up there. I'm going to use my Sharpie to mark out the frets and then run over it with a fret leveler. And that's it leveled and sanded, and you can see I took quite a bit off some of the frets because some of them were very high. So now I'm going to wash it down with white spirit because I'm going to stain this and I don't want to put oil on it just yet. So I'll put some white spirit on it. Frets are nice and polished. I used 240 grit sandpaper to get it down after I leveled the frets. And then I used 600, and then I used 1000. And then I rounded off the frets a bit and tidied up the edges. And now I'm just cleaning off any residue before I stain the neck, the fretboard back to where it was, back to the correct color. There'll be no lacquer put on this. This is just going to be stained. Okay, dirty, dirty, dirty. So I'm going to leave that for about an hour. Let that dry off before I do anything more with it. Okay. Right, got the strings on at last. Everything's sort of tidied up, not cleaned. Now we have another problem. If you look carefully at the strings, they're hardly on the fretboard at all. So this is a very unusual neck with a spring in it. But when I did the measurements for the tailpiece, which you can see has been done in gunmetal, it is 1 centimeter too far that way. So I'm going to have to move the tailpiece, which is not as easy a job as you think, because I'm going to have to make sure it's a solid. I'm going to have to make sure it's a solid connection to it. So I'm glad we have to move the tailpiece, because to try to move the neck on this would be a mess. And Georgie agrees with me, don't you, Georgie? Don't you? Don't you, Georgie girl? Talk to your audience. Oh yeah, chew the strings. Just right. Okay, I'll come back to that. This is a wind-up video to wind up this guitar, which wound me up tremendously. It nearly got put in the bin as a last resort, but it's a playable guitar now. Not a greatest guitar, but it'll do the gentleman for what he wants to do. That was terribly rusted. Painted it with cleaned it and sanded it, painted it with gunmetal. It looks a lot better. Great? No, but fine. The bridge is in the right place. Left-handed guitar. The neck wasn't. You can see we've moved the strings over a bit. It's playable now. But beneath the rosy interior of the, what do you call that little, I can't remember what they call the feckin' thing, excuse my French, but Father Ted needs to be here. I had to put a new, the way this is done is the neck is balanced on a very fine edge. That there, you see the top of the body? The neck is balanced on that. This isn't connected to wood, and that's not connected to wood. The neck is just sort of like a balanced on that piece of wood. And you tighten that string, that screw up, and it pulls the neck in on a spring and pulls the whole thing back and forth. But it's so ancient now. Those aren't cracks, by the way. Those aren't cracks. They are just the shape of the wood. That I couldn't get a really great action on this, but it's playable. It's left-handed, so I can't play anything on it. But because it's balanced on that, there's nothing that holds the neck in order. So what they did is they took out the mother of pearl. They drilled a hole and put an old screw in. Well, I think it was probably done at manufacturers, and you shape the neck to where you want it and then drill a screw into the block of the wood, which is all very well and good, but it doesn't quite work. So I'm going to put that back in again now that I showed you. Frets are all polished, fretboards cleaned, nuts been shaved down. I had to put that in because that was the other thing that annoyed me. The tuners which I put on, which were sort of in keeping with the period, they were shite, S-H-O-I-T-E, shite, and when you tighten them up, they moved that way. I don't know if you can see that moved. It moves even tight. So when it moves itself away from the gear. So they were crap. They were £7. What do you expect? So what I did is the owner had already given me a set of tuners, and these are the tuners that I had to put on. And that just reminds me, I haven't filled it in. That I'm going to fill that in, and because what I had to do is put these on. Also, I had to put them on upside down. I had to do that to get the tuners to look better on the head. They would have looked like a Mickey Mouse with a big head up here, so I got them what I think is the right way around. You can see the place where the Antoria label was. It'd be worthwhile the chappy getting a printed copy and sticking it on there. But this really is just a play guitar for fun. It's not really going to be doing much work. I certainly hope so. You'll see that I had to super glue this in. I really had to pile lots of super glue in it. But it's a sort of, it's a guitar that I nearly gave up on. I wouldn't like to say I nearly gave up on it, but it really, if you were paying for a luthier to do this, you couldn't pay him, because this guitar is not going to be worth that amount of money. But I'm going to fill in that head. What I'm going to do is strum a couple of strings for you and let you see what it looks like. Sounds like. This is a left-handed guitar, so I can't play a note on it, but I think an E, which would be that way an E. Oh. And an A would be, oh, I'm getting there. No, wrong. It's That's no, it's that way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's. It sounds okay. That's the only two chords I'm going to learn. It's. It's higher than I wanted to be up there, but the neck, I don't think you can see it, but the neck has got a kink in it there. It's not a bow, but there's a little kink in it there. And that's about the best you're going to get. It's a playaway guitar. It's a lot cleaner than what it was when it came in here. And maybe I'll get the owner to give me something on a way of a tune, because he's a lefty-handed guy. So it looks a lot better than it did when it came in. All right, ciao, bye.